Hi there, I'm Sonal Mehrotra and this is 5 Live. First up, a flood fury continues to wreak havoc in the hills. Devastation and destruction due to flash floods has been seen in Jammu and Kashmir, in Himachal Pradesh, in Uttarakhand and in Punjab as well. First, the news came in of massive cloudburst in Jammu and Kashmir's Doda district, triggering flash floods over there, disrupting normal life, forcing the closure of Jammu and Kashmir highway. Heavy rainfall has also caused landslides at multiple locations along the route. So far, 4 people have lost their lives in Doda and rescue operations are underway as we speak. Rivers and streams across the region are also flowing above the danger mark. Then there is Vaishno Devi. The yatra was also temporarily suspended after the landslide was reported en route to the pilgrim site, and rescue operations are currently underway, and so far no casualties at least have been reported. Let's cut across to Himachal Pradesh now, where Kullu district, 3 major sections of the Leh highway were swept away due to surge in the Beas river. With red alert in place, schools in Kullu, Mandi and nearby areas remain shut as the region battles widespread destruction. Meanwhile, flooding was also reported in Punjab's Gurdaspur, which is located very close to Jammu and Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh. Here, the Sonal Ravi River has cut off several villages, and now the local administrations are carrying out rescue operations. How bad is the situation on the ground? Here's a wholesome report.
The mountains are shaking. From Himachal Pradesh to Jammu to Arunachal Pradesh. Relentless rains have wreaked havoc. In Jammu and Kashmir, a cloudburst in Doda turned slopes into torrents of terror. The flash floods in Doda came soon after similar weather events in Kathua and Kishtwar over the last 2 weeks. Several houses suffered damage in the floods. The Jammu-Srinagar highway is badly impacted. The water levels of major rivers in Jammu have crossed the danger mark. Chenab, Tavi, Ravi and Basanta rivers are now flowing with terrifying force. Many are stranded.
Panic-stricken people are leaving from the low-lying areas and they are going to now safer areas. Here you see that swollen waters of Tavi river have now entered the residential areas, and it has become very difficult for people now. People are facing a harrowing time. The administration is closely monitoring the situation. Teams from Jammu and Kashmir police and civil authorities are also visiting the low-lying areas where they are assessing the damage, and they are also checking whether any people are stuck. And if that is the case, then they will be rescued.
The situation in Manali, Kangra, Una and Chamba districts of Himachal Pradesh is also extremely worrying. 3 major sections of the Kulu-Manali National Highway 3 have been swept away by the surging Beas River. Parts of the Chandigarh-Manali highway near Bindudhang and Raisan have vanished. In Arunachal Pradesh, road connectivity between Tawang and Dirang faced disruption after a landslide in West Kaming district. "2025 has become a record-breaking year for rainfall. The monsoon that reached Indian shores 9 days early has the entire country in its grip, with most states receiving excessive or normal rains." With Sunil G. Bhatt, Bureau Report, India Today.
We're joined by Sunil Ji Bhatt live from Jammu, and also Kawaljeet Sandhu joins us from Punjab. Sunil Ji, to you first. We knew this for a while, that it's going to be an early monsoon. But were the authorities caught completely off guard on the intensity of this monsoon?
Anjali, the authorities have been on their job, and that is why they have been issuing alerts, and they have also been issuing advisories to people. Late last evening, it started raining very heavily, and right from that point of time, the authorities kept issuing advisories, and authorities asked people to stay away from rivers. It has been raining in Jammu, cats and dogs since last 12 hours, and it has led to unprecedented floods. Portion of the fourth bridge on Tavi River in Jammu city has got washed away, and it's exactly at that spot where I was standing since morning. We are able to flee that area in the nick of time. But, massive damage has been inflicted.
I see. I see. So we seem to be having a signal issue with Sunil ji, but no surprises there since there has been an internet and connectivity issue. I believe we have him back. Can we go back?
Very low-lying areas, the administration has issued helpline numbers, and people have been asked to contact on these helpline numbers if they are facing any kind of problem.
All right, let's go to Kamaljeet Sandhu now, who is in Punjab. Kamaljeet, similar question to you as well. The intensity of the monsoon perhaps has caught everybody off guard. What kind of preparations were done beforehand to ensure, or were there any preparations done at all to handling this? Because what we are seeing is not just main highways, etc., that are impacted. These are residential colonies. People were there, and suddenly you had a gush of water inside their homes.
Well, absolutely. As per Met Department, this is the worst rainfall in the past decade or so. And that is where Punjab is also impacted, because remember, the floodgates have been opened of dams and the water has been gushing in from Himachal Pradesh. Now, where I'm standing right now is not an area of lakeside. This is the main road which leads up to some of the key villages in Gurdaspur. This is blocked, and if you can try and just turn around so you understand where we are, is these are the people who actually all come from different areas. They want to go back home, but they all seem to be stuck right here because they're waiting for the army to get the boats out so that they can go back. Now, we've seen few of the people just venture out, waiting just till where it is they think is safe enough, but the rest of it is by tractors or by trucks. But even those are getting stuck middle of the way, and then a lot of pushing and everything is done. But here we have a gentleman with us, Mohit Sharma. He's from the Indian Army, at least works with them, and he actually has come from Udhampur. Now, Jammu Kashmir has been facing the wrath of nature of its own, but here he is because he has to go to Makoda Patan. Now, that is also an area which is inundated. आपसे बात करना चाहेंगे, सिचुएशन JNK में भी काफी खराब है, वहां से आप चलते हुए यहाँ आए हैं और आप घर भी नहीं जा पा रहे हैं, क्या सिचुएशन है?
सिचुएशन तो मैं अभी काफी अपसेट हो रखा हूँ, मैं को घर पहुँचना था और मैं परिवार से भी नहीं मिल पा रहा हूँ, और जैसे कि मैं अभी अपनी ड्यूटी से आया हूँ मैं वापस, तो मेरे को घर पहुँचना था। सुबह से मेरे को पता चला था कि बारिश हो रही कंटिन्यू और बाढ़ वगैरह पूरे आ रखे हैं। रात को मेरा फोन बंद था, मैं फोन तो मतलब घर वालों से कांटेक्ट नहीं कर पाया था। सुबह अर्ली मॉर्निंग जब मेरे को मिस्ड कॉल आ रखी थी, मैंने पूरा कंटिन्यू देखा कि अभी घर से मिस कॉल क्यों आ रखी है, तब मैंने घर से टाई अप किया तो मेरे को पता चला पूरा फ्लड वगैरह अंदर घर में पानी घुस चुका हुआ है।
क्या प्लान ऑफ एक्शन है, क्योंकि फौज ही हमने देखा पीछे जो गाड़ियां लगी हैं, सो होल लॉट ऑफ व्हीकल्स आर स्टैंडिंग देयर बिकॉज़ वी आर वेटिंग फॉर मोर बोट्स टू रियली कम इन दिस एरिया, एंड परहैप्स फ्यू ऑफ दोस पीपल कैन एक्चुअली नाउ गो बैक होम, बट इवन दोस पर्टिकुलर एरियाज आर इन डेंजर मार्क। आपके परिवार वाले क्या सेफ हैं, उनको अब लेके बाहर जाएंगे, कहाँ जाएंगे, क्योंकि जहाँ से आप आए हैं वो एक तो दूर भी है।
ऐसा तो नहीं, मैं उनको घर से बाहर तो नहीं लेके जाऊंगा, उनको अभी कि ना रेस्क्यू करके हमने कि ना अपने जो फर्स्ट फ्लोर है ऊपर उनको बैठा के रखा हुआ है। सुबह से पूरे घर वाले बच्चे, आस पड़ोस के जो पूरे मोहल्ले गांव वाले हैं, वो भी 2-4 फैमिलीज आके हमारे घर के ऊपर बैठे हुए हैं सारे। तो बाकी अभी भगवान से ये दुआ करते हैं कि जल्दी से जल्दी थोड़ा जरा कंट्रोल हो जाए बारिश वगैरह का और बाढ़ वगैरह थोड़ा कंट्रोल हो जाए ताकि लोगों को राहत मिल सके।
So a person who's come from JNK, but let's just get a sense from the local people. आप ये बताइए कि कितनी बुरी हालत है, क्योंकि अब जहाँ पे हम खड़े हैं इस वक्त पानी और आगे तो और ज्यादा पानी है, 3 फुट है, 4 फुट है, हमने देखा गाड़ियां फंसी। हालांकि यहाँ पे मंत्री आए, बाकी सब आए, कितना आपको लग रहा है कि प्रशासन से या फोर्सेस से मदद मिल पा रहा है?
प्रशासन तो लगा हुआ है वैसे अपने काम के लिए, बट सुबह तो पानी कम था, अब पानी बढ़ रहा है, अभी और भी बढ़ रहा है। लोग परेशान है, हमारे इधर के जो 2-4 गांव हैं जैसे जबकरा, मराड़ा, मकोड़ा, और मकोड़े के उधर रावी के उस पार भी हमारे 4-5 गांव हैं, वो भी सभी सभी मुश्किल में अभी तक तो कोई पता ही नहीं चल रहा क्या बन रहा है क्या नहीं फिर भी
So life is uncertain here, and let me tell you, because the rivers are swollen and the floodgates are open, the Met Department has predicted that the next 12 hours or so could be extremely crucial because more rainfall is expected.
Sure.
And that could mean the river waters could swell further. That means there could be a rise in water, and it could add to further woes. And that's the least people would want. They've been moving to safer places, but meanwhile, a whole lot of want to get back home, which they are unable to do.
And Kavaljit, can I just point out, had you not told us that where you're standing is actually a road, one would have presumed that you're standing on a lake or a riverside or something. This is really critical. The flood fury that seems to be unfolding in our entire northern belt is an issue, a deeper issue that we all need to investigate and figure out what exactly is happening here. We leave it there for the moment with those visuals. Thanks so much for joining us. All right, the other big story we are tracking. It's been 79 years our nation gained independence, yet even after 7 decades, in many places across the country, people with outdated mindsets have not evolved. On your screens now, we'll just pop it up, you see 4 victims of one of the most horrifying issues of dowry. All these women were assaulted by their husbands and in-laws for dowry. Some of them ran to save their lives, others died trying to fix things. Let's take a look at these stories one by one. First up, Nikki Bhati is a murder case. We all know the story by now. Repeated demands of dowry, abuse, limiting her movements, her access on social media, ultimately, allegedly burnt alive. Let's look at what's happening in Jodhpur. A woman named Sanju and her 3-year-old daughter were found in a suspicious burnt condition at their home in Rajasthan. The cause of her death was assault by her husband, again, over dowry demands. In another dowry-related abuse case in Madhya Pradesh this time, a 23-year-old girl, Khushbu, escaped just in time after her husband tried to allegedly tie her up, torture her and insert a heated knife into her mouth when she cried out of pain. Meanwhile, a 33-year-old woman was found dead under suspicious circumstances in another district in Telangana. The victim, identified as Lakshmi, was reportedly subjected to alleged starvation, physical assault, prolonged confinement by her husband, Naresh Babu, and in-laws for additional dowry. What exactly is happening there? Why have we got the plot so wrong? And how has dowry become such an acceptable norm in our society? And mind you, not just in our villages, not just in Greater Noida, even in the most affluent areas where we perhaps don't hear of such severe outcomes. So here are the 5 questions that we are asking on dowry. Why does the conviction rate in dowry-related cases remain abysmally low? Despite the existence of laws like Section 498A, the Dowry Prohibition Act, etc., why is it so low? Number 2, under the law, is giving dowry as much a crime as demanding it? And if yes, then why haven't we reported of these cases? Why have we held them accountable? Number 3, dowry also a problem with the educated elite. We don't hear of these cases. They're often called gifts. They're often called love, with which things are being given, gifts are, granted. Is that also illegal? Why is silence still the norm by neighbors, relatives, or even friends who witness signs of dowry-related abuse but stay mum, say nothing? And what mechanism, importantly, is in place to ensure fast-track courts handle dowry death cases with urgency? In fact, even dowry cases with urgency, so it doesn't lead to the person losing his or her life over there. So those are the big questions that we are tracking. Let me bring on our guest now. Karuna Nandy, senior advocate at Supreme Court, joins us now. I don't know where to begin with these stories. These issues, as a woman, as a wife, as a mother, it enrages you at different levels. But my question is a more legal one to you, Karuna. When under the law, even giving dowry is as much a crime, why don't we see enough noise about it?
The trouble is that this has been going on for so long, and this is so deeply embedded and endemic in our society that the news essentially got bored of it. So what happened is that when the men's rights associations emerged, and they started saying that, oh, look, there is this one case here, and then there is this one case there. And they started talking about the abuse of 498A. And there is abuse of 498A. Firstly, let me be clear about that. But it is tiny, tiny subsection of what is actually the reality of this country, right? But when oppression is oppression is a habit, then equality feels unconscionable, right? So therefore, then what happened, I think, is that it all became about the abuse of 498A. And this has, for better or for worse, influenced the court system. It has influenced the way the court system approaches this. We must recognize that the police also emerges from the same society that we are all from, and the same kind of patriarchy, right? And the same kind of misogyny, and the same घर की बात है, घर पे रहने दो.
Adjust kar lo.
Adjust kar lo. So even if you look at this particular situation, which has only grabbed the headlines because of the not just because of the extreme violence of it, because that's actually quite common, but because that extreme violence was caught on camera, because it was a media. Because also she was very beautiful. You had a little boy involved who spoke up. The normal everyday cases, the thousands of women who are being blackmailed, tortured, even killed, short of this, are not reported. These cases go to court, sometimes with insufficient evidence, and it is said, but why dowry? Even in this case, there's no allegation of dowry, by the way. I mean, in the sense there are many allegations of dowry, but the police, I'm told, has not in the FIR mentioned the provision that deals with dowry from the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita.
The law, then that would book the parents of the girl as well. So there is a bit of a complication there. But Karuna, you're right when you say that in most of these cases, these instances barely, forget reaching the courts, they barely reach a situation of a complaint. If a girl, and I believe it's perhaps, I don't know if there's a right way to say this, but perhaps the parents of the girl are also to be questioned here. To say that if you are not going to stand by your child, if you're going to ask her, adjust kar lo, ghar hai, nibha lo. If you're going to say stuff like that, then there is no outlet left for a girl or a victim in this case to even speak up, to demand justice.
Let me explain to you how the law works here in this area. You have the Dowry Prohibition Act. So there's Section 3, which is the penalty for giving or taking dowry. And this is any person after the commencement of this act gives or takes or abets the giving or taking of dowry, then shall be punishable, right? So you are not wrong when you say that there's a complication here. There is. However, this, to be fair, provision is very rarely used against the parents. You know, whenever it is used, on the rare occasion it is used against the in-laws who have taken the dowry.
I
right?
see.
However, difficulty is this. The difficulty is that because the provision exists, it's very difficult for the people who have given the dowry to make the complaint.
Yes.
Because then, you know, they are also implicated. So then who's going to make the complaint?
Catch-22, yeah.
So I think the law here is not well designed, and it definitely. I would not blame the parents of the girl at this time when she has been murdered in this really brutal way, right? Systemically, though, we also must understand that when you have parents who are giving money and giving dowry to the other party, they are doing it out of a sense of compulsion, right? Like it's like giving hafta to the neighborhood bullies because you think you have no other option. You are giving hafta, you are giving like a ransom in the hope that your child is going to be kept safe. Even in this case, the allegations are, we don't know whether they're true or not, we'll have to see. but widely reported allegations are that they gave a Scorpio SUV.
Yeah. But they wanted a Mercedes. Yeah.
But they wanted a Mercedes, exactly, that they gave a lot, right? So why are they doing this? They're doing this out of a sense that they have no option, right? If they thought that there was this wonderful boy somewhere and they had an
I know.
option.
I agree with you. That's what I was saying. There's no
wrong.
nice way of saying this because, you understand the situation perhaps in which the parents of the girl are in as well. But Karuna, I want to ask you this. In your experience of having heard of these cases, dealt with these cases, if a young bride today is watching the program right now, can't go to the husband, can't go to the in-laws, can't go to her own parents or even friends who will help. What is the way out for them? What should they be doing as of now?
I think the question is really before that. This question comes prior to that, prior to who the young woman consents to being married to, or who the parents decide to marry their child to. And we have to be really clear that this system of ransom, where you are giving good money and putting good money after bad and hoping that it's going to work out well, is never going to work out because you're giving money to criminals. So, okay, so the girl, by definition, they are criminals, right? So you are not guaranteeing that there's no guarantee that your child is going to be murdered, thankfully. But there is a guarantee that this kind of money you are giving is going to be associated with the value of this girl.
Yeah.
And that the girl marrying this person is not enough. So therefore, you're marrying your child to criminals, or you yourself are consenting sometimes to be married to criminals, or people who have that mindset, even if it's posited as gifts or love or whatever. And so therefore, I think being very clear about not doing that and saying that I am going to make sure that this girl is as educated as possible, has a job, any kind of decent work, because look at the labor workforce participation rate today. It's extremely low. It only went up to about 30% when suddenly this government decided to include laborers who were working, not laborers, women who were working on their own fields, of their family fields, right? That's the Otherwise, it's gone down dramatically from the 90s. So therefore, do not get married in situations like this. There are people out there who are happy to get married for legitimate reasons, non-criminal reasons, and otherwise
in a good world, love.
Otherwise, do not get married.
And can I add to that? A lot of times, right in the beginning, when you're about to get married, it doesn't come as a demand. It comes layered with out of love or something that you would do just to benefit the child. This is for your well-being. It comes wrapped in different shades like these, or this is just the ashirwads that the parents are giving. So be wary of all of these things. It's just conditioning. Ultimately, it is a dowry that is being asked for. So thank you, Karuna, for joining us and laying that out for all our viewers. I really hope even one person caught up in a situation like this can listen to this conversation and perhaps benefit from it. Hi there, I'm Sonal Mehrotra and this is 5 Live. If sugar was healthy, you are wrong. There is no healthy sugar. Honey and jaggery are still sugar. Your body treats them like sugar. FDA even counts syrups and honey as added sugar on their labels. Fructose as a sugar substitute isn't a free lunch, it's still sugar. In fact, WHO goes on to say in both adults and children, the intake of sugar should be reduced to less than 10% of the total energy intake. Meaning, WHO is not asking you to go off sugar. छोड़ने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. Cancelling any food out of your system isn't wise. It's saying limit it. For health benefits, it's advised to in fact reduce sugar intake to below 5% of your total energy. What does this mean? This means roughly 25 grams of sugar in a day. That translates into 6 teaspoons. In fact, to quote them, they go on to say that nutritionally, people don't need any sugar in their diet at all. Having understood that, let's now get into what science has to say on sugar contenders. This is the sugar showdown. Number 1, table sugar. White sugar, brown sugar, pink sugar, they're all the same. They're made with 50% glucose, 50% fructose, bonded together actually. This means that excess intake raises your risk in terms of extra calories consumed. A major source of these are found in sugary drinks, in your desserts as well. Remember, WHO has capped free sugar to just about 50 grams a day, and that's also on the higher side. So the verdict here is minimize. It's not your sole driver of energy. Let's look at honey next. The core ingredient here is 80% carbohydrates, which means mostly fructose, glucose. 15 to 70% is water and tiny amounts of bioactives and antioxidants. But any antioxidant edge is negligible at real-world portions. Metabolically, it's sugar. The labeling is also counted as added sugar in your nutrition facts. Yes, it's flavorful, but not a healthier option at all. Let's look at another popular substitute, jaggery. The core ingredient here is unrefined non-centrifugal sugar from cane or palm. Predominantly, it's sucrose with very small amounts of minerals. The trace minerals don't offset the glycemic or caloric load and falls under free sugar to limit. Not a health upgrade over sugar at all. Next, let's look at options that are often termed under sugar-free, diet, zero-cal. Now, what does it have? The simple sugar in products is often appeared as high fructose corn syrup. It's called HFCS, commonly 42 or 55% still fructose. Doesn't prevent problems of excess sugar intake, liquid sugars, and strongly linked to overconsumption as well. The WHO guidelines targets all free sugars, not just sucrose. The verdict here is not advisable as a healthier replacement. Next, let's look at the very popular stevia. The core ingredient here is of course extracted from the leaves of the stevia plant. It contains the steviol glycosides, which are about 200 to 300 times sweeter than sugar. Virtually 0 calories per serving, doesn't raise blood sugar or insulin levels. It is not counted as sugar on FDA labels, but WHO still advises against it to manage weight or prevent diseases. The tricky detail here is that many stevia products on the market are not pure. They are blended with different other kinds of chemicals like dextrose, etc. So you've got to read the ingredient list very carefully. The verdict here is it is acceptable in small amounts, but don't use it as a license to over-sweeten your diet. And then it's the new kid on the block, monk fruit. The core ingredient here, again extracted from a fruit, it's 150 to 250 times sweeter than sugar, so only tiny amounts are used. Again, not counted as sugar, very low or no calories per serving used, doesn't add to sugar grams. But remember, even the WHO recommends not using non-sugar sweeteners to control your body weight or reduce the NCD risk. The tricky part here again remains that some of the labels blend it and they don't really tell you about it, so you've got to be careful of where you're sourcing your monk sugar from. In fact, the verdict here is it tastes even better than stevia. But again, it has to be used in moderation, not a magic bullet. So, which is the healthiest? Well, if you must add sweetness, then a tiny amount of pure monk fruit or stevia beats sugar, honey, jaggery, fructose at all levels. But don't rely on any sweetener, natural or artificial, to manage weight or protect against any disease. Even WHO explicitly advises against that strategy. The real win? training your palate down and cutting total sweetness. Not just in your tea or coffee, but everything else you might even not realize you're having, which is sugar loaded. From the harmless looking cola at lunch to the mithai box getting passed around at work, sugar sneaks into our diets far more than we think. Sauces, packaged snacks, healthy drinks so-called, even breakfast cereal, they all add up to your sugar intake. And remember, sugar intake matters even if you're not a diabetic. Our bodies, which work tirelessly for us, deserve better. So here's to the best drink your body actually needs. Just a glass of water to good health and a sweeter life that isn't sugar-loaded. Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor for India Today. All right, I don't want to be a buzzkill here to everybody watching this right now and has a sweet tooth. We are not saying that all sugar is poison. We are not saying that you should just ban sugar altogether. We are saying moderate it and importantly, bring your palate of having sugar cravings actually down. To talk to us a little bit more about that, we've got Suman Agarwal, founder of Self-Care by Suman Nutritionist. She's also the author of books Unjunked and Super Kids. Also with us is Rohan Sehgal. He's the creator of Sugar Spike Show. Now, Rohan is famous as being the guy who tests his sugar spike after every food that he consumes. He's using his body as an experiment, has a lot of insights on what actually spikes your glucose levels. And a lot of times, the culprits are hidden. You don't even realize they have so much of sugar. So let me give the first word to Suman Agarwal. Then Suman, it's very interesting how people think that मैं तो फीकी चाय पीता हूँ. I don't use sugar at all. Or people who say कि मैं तो जी मिठाई मैंने छोड़ दी है. But even they don't realize that how sugar is sort of wolfed in, itself in different forms and different food items and is in your kitchen, on your plate without you realizing it at all. Could you name a few of these dishes for us which have sort of taken you off guard as well when your clients brought it up to you?
Yeah, Sonal. So I mostly hear, oh, have given up sugar in my tea, coffee, but they definitely had that sugar-free date mithai. They will
Yeah.
go for that. Then they will always have like a cake which is made with orange juice. So they're trying to tell themselves that they're not having any sugar. Or they'll have plate full of fruits, which is fructose. So this is my debate with every client in the same manner that your brain does not get tricked because it needs that little bit sugar if you have taken it from childhood. But if you don't take it from young age, then your palate does not want it. Or as you said, that they have to train the palate to bring the sugar requirement down. Instead of having with every meal, bring it down to maybe a cup of tea, coffee with little sugar. As you mentioned, 5% is also according to me more. What a person should do is max 2 teaspoons of sugar, jaggery, honey, date, etc. And they should never cross this two teaspoon rule. That will control their desire to have desserts or in form of chocolates, etc. And they can lead a healthy life without diabetes, PCOS, insulin resistance, everything comes with that, obesity. So
Yeah.
that is my thumb rule. But if someone wants to give up sugar completely in every form, which is ketchup and syrups and honey and jaggery and desserts, and they should completely give it up. It takes your body or your palate 40 days to train. And after 40 days, your requirement for sugar or the desire for sugar goes down. So
Right.
that's what is.
You know, a lot of people have not realized what Suman has just said. She's quietly slid in the issue of even fruits being fructose and even fruits adding to sugar. So let me bring in Rohan on this one. Rohan, have you tried fruits and what is it doing to your glucometer?
No, absolutely. I could not agree more. And, before I say anything, I'm not a medical professional, nor am I diabetic, but I was so concerned with all this news on, how sugar is in everything. I had to do a fruit series. And you'll be surprised. I'll give an example. A fruit like lychee had spiked my blood sugar levels more than a can of Coke, a 300 ml can of Coke. So it's not like, she's absolutely right. Just because it's sugar in the form of fructose, it doesn't mean anything. Sugar, sugar.
Right. But then how are we supposed to consume fruits, Suman? It's great. It's a great source of different vitamins and minerals in our body. How are we supposed to, what is the right way to consume fruits then?
You know, this is one whenever I go on internet or Instagram and say about fruit, that worst time to have fruits is empty stomach because it really spikes up your sugar because it is absorbed in your blood immediately. So it increases your chances of insulin resistant, diabetes, and many other issues. The best time to have fruits would be immediately after a meal, which is of course balanced with protein, fat, carbs, and fiber, which are macros, so that
Yeah.
your sugar spikes are as it is low. And if you have a little
So then,
fruit in.
then your fruit becomes your dessert in a way, a replacement of your dessert.
And there are certain fruit which are low on glycemic index, which has soluble fiber like apple, pear, pomegranate, guava. So including those fruits which are low on glycemic index, plus dragon fruit, cherry, strawberry, oranges are all low on glycemic. Every other fruit, like especially for diabetics, they ask me, can I have papita? I said, no, papaya is very high in sugar.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, eating the fruits which are low in GI is better.
Right. Rohan, what has been your experience with monk fruit?
Well, I was curious about all these sweeteners that you mentioned in your introduction, and what I found. So I added all these sweeteners to tea, and I found that white sugar, brown sugar, honey, gourd all gave similar results. So it was slightly disappointing, but it is what it is. But yes, calorie-free sweeteners like stevia and monk fruit, they did not give me a sugar spike. It was equivalent to having tea without sugar.
Oh, and compared to stevia and monk fruit, since I tried both as a way of research, actually monk fruit comes closer to the taste of sugar, while stevia still tastes a little artificial on the palate. But Rohan, what has been your biggest surprise in understanding glucose spikes? What food item really got you thinking, oh my God, I did not think this would spike my blood sugar?
I mean, since we're on the subject, fruits were truly shocking for me. I mean, I could not believe that certain fruits that I've grown up having are spiking sugar levels as much as desserts because they're pure sugar. And from my experiments, I found that anything that has just simple sugar and nothing else is just terrible for blood sugar. And absolutely, and pairing it, I'll give you a simple example. When I had lychees on their own, they had given me a very high sugar spike. But when I had them after a meal as dessert, the spike got cut down to 1/3. That's a 66% reduction in my personal case. So that was absolutely, a stunning discovery for myself.
Right. Suman, but we are in midst of the festival season just kicking in. A lot of people are going to say that this is the latest fad. There was a time when I was growing up, ghee was the problem, and now when my child is growing up, sugar is the problem. These things have a way of evolving as we go. But what is the science here? अगर festivals हैं, एक मोदक खाना है, how do you limit yourself? What is the right way then to consume, in moderation at least?
You know, I tell always that even if you have to have a dessert, make sure it has the right fat. Like our Indian mithais, like almond or pishta or kaju, the modaks made out of those, okay, will still spike your sugar lesser than having any dessert which is made with pure sugar and flour, like wheat modak, the churma modak, etc. They still spike your sugar more. Or having the besan ka modak, besan laddu. So those will spike lesser, and having maximum a modak which is not more than 15 to 20 gram a day is fine. But everyone seeing the kind of life we live, we need to limit our desserts intake in no matter what. So having what like a small, like modaks are made small, which fits in your palm and only one in a day, and which is not more than 20 grams, we should do the trick because 20 grams will finally give you the calorific value between 80 to 110. That's all, which you can manage, of course.
Yeah, imagine
And
going to a mithai wala and saying 20 gram. I think that's not going to happen. So you will have to sort of
oh no,
make
I'm
those
telling you,
make those
I
things at home and ensure that you're doing it the right way. Sorry, go ahead.
No, so what happened? I see the size of desserts. All these years have been seeing I'm from Calcutta. So it is always intriguing for me to make a mithai which is low in calorie. And so I've made my own brand of mishta because of this, where the mithai is just 20 grams or 15 grams. And it has
Yeah.
worked like it does not like it satisfies your craving at the same time. It gives you all the goodness. And so there are 20-gram mithais available. Once you go, modaks are available in 20 or 15 grams, in fact, in outside.
Right. Right.
Just has
Last question then, Rohan, what is your go-to? When you want that little sweet, but you don't want a glucose spike, what are you going for?
I mean, to be very honest, it's a losing battle. I don't think there's anything that exists which is sweet, which will satisfy me, which will not give me a spike. So all I try to do it is try and not do it every day, so that once in a while when I do it, I at least, it satisfies my desires.
That's not a bad way to look at it as well. I think for me, that's jalebi. I'm a very UP girl that way, that every time that happens, I cannot. But then I tell myself that it's going to happen at the end of the meal, it'll happen in a small portion, and it'll happen that one time in a week. But like I said, a lot of people are going to be like, stop being a spoiler for all the festive season. Well, our job is to bring the right information to you. The rest is your call. On that note, Suman, and thank you so much for joining us over there. All right, moving on to the next story that we're tracking. US President Donald Trump is back in the spotlight, this time for visible bruises on his hand. Pictures from his meeting with South Korea's president showed a dark patch fueling health concerns and even online chatter. The White House has downplayed the speculation, citing Trump's chronic venous insufficiency, a common condition they say people over 70 face. But is that really the case? Here's a look.
US President Donald Trump is back in the headlines, this time not for his words or tariffs, but for the bruises he's carrying. A dark black and blue patch was visible on US President Donald Trump's hand after he sat with South Korean President Lee Jae-myung in the Oval Office on Monday. This came just days after Trump's hand appeared to be covered with mismatched makeup during another public appearance, fueling chatter about what exactly the president might be suffering. Last week too, Trump was spotted flashing a bruised thumbs up in a photo snapped at Trump National Golf Club in Virginia. The images quickly went viral, sparking health concerns and speculation about their cause. Meanwhile, the White House downplayed the concern. In July, Donald Trump's physician confirmed that he has chronic venous insufficiency, describing it as a common condition, particularly in individuals over the age of 70. This is a medical condition where veins can't effectively send blood back to the heart, causing blood to pool and leading to symptoms like skin changes. Trump's physician denied any threat of a deep vein thrombosis or arterial disease. Bureau Report, India Today.
And finally, it's World Dog Day today, did you know? Recently, we saw the country divided over the dog debate. But no matter which side you're on, really, here's a fun fact about our very own Desi Indies. Now, did you know that our Indian Desi dogs share a 4,000-year-old ancestral connection with Australia's dingoes? These street-smart pups are part of an ancient lineage, perfectly adapted to survive and thrive alongside humans in diverse environments. So, listen to the Supreme Court. Instead of just feeding them outside your door, think about actually giving an indie dog a forever home. Adopt a Desi, love them for life. We leave you with that thought. See you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.